why don't I try a vegan diet? And then they fail. Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. One is when you're eating a plant-based vegan diet, which means, limiting the processed foods, you gotta eat much, much bigger. So when I was eating, meat and, limiting my carbs, my plates were this big. Well, as a vegan, my plates are this big. And look at me, I'm under 100 pounds. I eat so much bulk that when my friends come over, they actually ask if they can take a picture of me, because my salads are literally this big, and I eat 4, 5, sometimes 6 times a day. So if you love to eat, this way of eating is awesome. And you get to eat super yummy foods, like who doesn't love potatoes? Potatoes have practically no calories, so you can eat lots of potatoes. My smoothies are this big. My smoothies used to be this big, and I used to be hungry all the time. So now, if I'm hungry, I eat. I don't have to worry about gaining weight. I can eat as much as I want. I find it really, really freeing. Now, there are people who say they can't go vegan, and they've tried this. They've eaten bigger portions. Well, there's a lot of reasons, and I'm going to go over that right now. One is people will eat processed foods, those vegan burgers. Well, if you look at those, they're full of saturated fat. And saturated fat is the number one reason why people are sick. So if you want to look for foods that are low in saturated fat, a lot of people, they love coconut, and they'll eat coconut oil foods, cooked in coconut oil. Well, it's absolutely delicious. Those foods will increase our cholesterol. So even when we're eating a zero cholesterol diet, you will have vegans with high cholesterol and have heart disease. And that is why. So look at the saturated fat on the foods that you buy. You can also use a free app called MyFitnessPal, but my favorite is Chronometer, totally free. So, and the other thing to do is that people will say, well, I want to try a plant-based vegan diet, but I don't know what to do. I don't know what to eat. And they limit their foods. They think all they should eat is salads. Well, a good source is Dr. Michael Greger's Daily Dozen. So you can look this up online. He's got all sorts of recipes and tools, but I'm going to just give you a quick summary. So the number one ingredient, well, I've listed this as number one, is flax seeds. Most people don't have flax seeds. Flax seeds are the best source of omega-3 fats. People are thinking, wait, shouldn't I be eating salmon? No, salmon is full of microplastics, mercury. Salmon actually makes people sick and fat. Yeah, very inflammatory. So flax seeds, it's actually a great food item to help you lose weight very quickly. What it does is it makes your cells work better. It helps with healing and digestion. So, but all you need is 1 tablespoon worth of flax seeds. Just throw it in your smoothie. Or I'm lazy, I don't like to clean my smoothie very well, so I just grind it and then I throw it in there. So great source of omega-3 fats. Every day, 1 tablespoon of flax seeds. So make sure don't get it pre-ground, because it's no good. So there have been people who have tried healing, and they've found that the only way they were able to heal was when they actually started grinding their flax seeds themselves. Number 2, Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen, exercise. So he says we should exercise 90 minutes a day, which if you break it down, that's 30 minutes 3 times a day. Or if that's like, no, you're too busy, I get it, 45 minutes of moderate exercise every day. And lift those weights. Do I look like I lift heavy weights? I don't, but I do. And the reason why I don't look bulky, 1, I'm female. 2, I don't inject testosterone. And 3, I don't overeat. So ladies, lift weights. Get those heavy weights and look really fit and curvy. And number 3, what do you drink? Tea and water. Those are his recommendations for hydration. Number 4, berries every single day. That's actually excellent for brain health. fruit, not just berries. And you know the Okinawans in Japan, they are known for the blue zones. The blue zones are people who have lived the longest. Well, not only do they have octogenarians in Okinawa, those are people who live over 100. They have super octogenarians, or centenarians, I'm sorry. So those are people who live over 110 years old. And so what these doctors and researchers did is interview these people who are over 110 in Japan to find out what they eat. Well, they eat a minimum of 7 different types of fruits and vegetables every day. 7. So my big smoothies, I can add even more fruit. So it's not difficult. It actually makes your food taste better. The more variety, the more stuff you eat and put it on your plate, the more delicious it tastes and nutritious. Now, another thing that I learned is the reason why people get sick is because they are not getting enough nutrients. So we've heard this all our lives, and we're like thinking, yeah, I've heard this. But the fact is, our bodies need so much more nutrients that we need to survive and thrive. So if you get, the average person will need like 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day. If they're very active, all of those calories should be nutrient dense. And then over and above that, you can eat the processed foods. So if you are a well person, you have no medical conditions, you're not on any medication, you can eat, processed foods once or twice a week, but only if you have no health conditions. And when I say once or twice a week, that means one meal or like one chocolate cookie. So you can just do your detox and clean yourself that way, and then you can eat your vegan junk food. So the most important thing is to stay away from the animal products. So number 6 I've got for Dr. Michael Greger's Daily Dozen. He wants everyone to eat cruciferous vegetables every single week and leafy greens. But what he didn't mention, but what I'm going to let you know, is the most nutrient dense foods is raw cruciferous vegetables. So, broccoli or, spinach is not really under that list, but it has so much nutrition. So eat a little bit of that every day, and that will really help your body repair. And guess what? When you eat these foods, it'll speed up your metabolism. And that's why people who eat a lot of fruits and vegetables can lose weight and have so much energy. So in addition, he wants people to eat other vegetables. So, you can get your potatoes and your squash and your carrots. He wants herbs and spices, and especially 1/4 of a teaspoon of turmeric every single day. Whole grains. My favorite is quinoa. So that's great for someone who is diabetic like me. I have type 1 diabetes, and I was diagnosed when I was 36 years old. So rice doesn't work for me. Most people, it's actually fantastic, but for me, quinoa is a better choice. Legumes equals, they've got beans and lentils and peas, great for high in protein, and nuts, raw is best. All right, so we talked about the processed foods we want to limit. When we're talking about processed foods, we're talking about ultra-processed foods. When you look on the back and it's got a ton of ingredients and you're like, what is this? I also want to talk about dairy. So who here consumes dairy? All right, there's people that don't want to admit it. So dairy includes cheese, milk, we've got sour cream, things we don't really think about. We'll go to a restaurant and we'll think, well, why does my stomach hurt? Well, a lot of time, a lot of food is cooked in butter, which is a saturated fat. It's, other than like lard, it's one of the worst fats. It makes us really fat and really sick. And most people are lactose intolerant. So we get that horrible stomach pain. Now, my father was lactose intolerant. He had really bad stomach issues, so he thought, well, I'll just get lactose-free milk. But what happens is when you're eating a food your body says no to, you don't still eat that food. You don't try to modify it or take pills so you can eat that toxic food. You got to listen to your body. Your body's saying no. So what happened was my dad decided to eat lactose or consume lactose-free milk because he thought he needed the calcium. Well, it actually caused him to get MS, multiple sclerosis, the most disgusting disease. I told him not to drink the milk. He drank it anyway. And at that time, I didn't know about Switch for Good. SWITCH for Good. Wonderful information on there. And dairy causes the most horrific medical conditions. They're autoimmune diseases. They will trigger lupus, MS, joint issues, practically everything. So the number one thing that you should do is avoid all forms of dairy. So that is really key. And I was actually born with a dairy allergy, and I can't even touch dairy. I once held a baby, and the baby was given not mother's milk, but formula. The baby spit up on my shoulder, and I ended up with huge welts all over my arm, itching and burning for hours. So dairy is just, if you could omit one toxic food, that would be my number one top choice. So those are your tips for thriving on a plant-based vegan diet. And anyways, these tips are great tips for health. Now, oils are a processed food. It's something that most of us and the plant-based health community are recommending. Now, granola is everybody's favorite. Who doesn't love granola? But typical granola is made with oil and sugar. But the oil is the most horrific ingredient in plant-based foods that makes people ill. So what I did is I wanted to tell you my quick granola to go how-to. So you just get the big canister of oats, and just I scoop up about 3/4 of a cup and just put it in a big bowl. You can add a half a cup of chocolate chips. They have dairy-free chocolate chips. My favorite is Enjoy Life. You can get it in most places, Sprouts, Vons, and I've got cashews in here, or you can do walnuts or almonds. Raw is best. Got some cinnamon and beet powder. Beet powder is wonderful for sweetening up anything. Little shake here and there. And do I have anything else? I do have some raisins in here. Oh, I didn't put apple in here, but if you do a little apple bits, and then you just have this to go, so that when you're running around town and you're hungry, you're not going to stop off at Burger King or, get something else. So anyways, that is how to make your granola. I've got a couple of samples here that you can try, and then we have also all sorts of wonderful tools over here on nutrition. We've got samples and people here for help. Now, if you're looking for a coach, whether it's a fitness coach or how to go vegan coach, I help people reverse autoimmune diseases and all sorts of medical conditions. You can contact me. I'll be over here giving out samples, and my website is thehigh5diet.com. high, like high five, HIGHFIVEDIET.com.
Any person can change their health trajectory, and you can contact me if you want my help. I can analyze your diet and let you know how to optimize it. Go to my website, thehigh5diet.com, scroll down to schedule appointment, and choose the 1-hour diet and nutrition analysis, where I will spend 1 hour with you via Zoom, FaceTime, or on the phone. Your choice. I have other services, including one-on-one fitness training sessions that you can add on if you're interested. Helping people improve their health, sharing my delicious recipes with lots of yummy carbs gives me a high like no drug can, which is why I do it. Change is not as easy as pie, but it's worth it, because pain, disease, and drugs are much worse than avoiding apple pie. For my favorite low-fat, oil-free, plant-based vegan recipes, order my cookbook with vegan nutrition facts on how to prevent and reverse disease, which chronicles my personal health and weight loss story through my website, thehigh5diet.com.